I'm going to show you what's in my violin case and what I think you should have in yours. Placing it back on to marinate there. Don't give me a light rosin, I won't use it. Oh. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Corey. I'm a violinist. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. If you are just starting to learn the violin, you should definitely subscribe to my channel too. I've not really gone through my case at all, so everything that's in here is just in here. So we're gonna kind of look through it. I'm gonna show you what I have and let's get started. First of all, the case that I have here is from Kennedy Violins. It's a Portland case. I'm actually so in love with it. It's so freaking gorgeous. I always like a case that is very high quality. It's very strong, durable, going to protect my violin, but it has to be cute. It has to be nice. It has to look nice, and that is everything about this case. I love it. Let's start with the strap. First of all, I like to have it only on one side. I personally don't do the backpack case. That's not my favorite, but what I do is I do it on the side. I do it really pretty tight so that when it sits here on my shoulder, you can see that it's just really close to my body. It's really nice and comfortable. And then also it's not like clanging and banging around. So that's how I carry my case. Also, I'm so impressed with this strap because there are some that they're just not very well made and you can tell that they're really cheap, and I've actually had my case end up on the ground. Literally. I did take this little thing off because it sits on your shoulder. It's just a little too clunky for me and I don't need it, so I did take that off. But it does have this nice little case right here for music and stuff. I personally don't have anything in here right now. All my music is out, but when I head to a gig or whatever, that's where I will put my music. All right, let's open it up. I hope you can kind of see. The first thing you need to have in your case is strings, obviously. Absolutely a must have. I personally really like the Ava Perazzi gold strings, but these are the strings that came with the violin, and so I'm just keeping them here. They are a backup just in case. Okay, for bows, I always recommend having at least 2 bows in your case. I have 3. I think it's a little excessive. You don't need 3 bows in your case, but you do need 2. Usually what I will do is I will have 1 bow that is my primary bow that I use all the time, which is my Coda Luma bow. Absolutely love this bow. So this is my primary bow that I'm going to use all the time. Then I do also have a backup bow. And this is a bow that I will use if I'm playing an outside gig, which is a lot of the time. If you're playing in a wedding or a venue, whatever, usually you're playing outside. And I always like to have an outside bow because the humidity and stuff like that can actually change how your bow tightens and loosens. So I usually use a cheaper bow, a bow that I'm not as huge of a fan of, but still plays really well. So that's why I have either my Viotti bow I will use for that, or I also have the Coda Colors. I think they call this the Prodigy bow now. Also love this bow. Moving on. You have to have the little blanket, obviously. Okay, it's nothing special, nothing to write home about, just basic, you know. All right, inside I have my shoulder rest here. This is actually a new shoulder rest I've been trying. It looks exactly like a Kuhn shoulder rest, but it is not a Kuhn shoulder rest. I just got it on Amazon and it's actually like, I'm very impressed with the quality of this shoulder rest. I really like it. I'll leave it linked. Yeah. Next, just hanging out here is my humidifier. If you live in some place that gets dry or the weather changes a lot, I really recommend a humidifier. It has a little sponge inside it, and basically what you do is run it underwater and completely dry it off. Get the sponge inside nice and moist. And then you're going to take a nice cloth and just dry it off completely. Like, you don't want it to be dripping water, but you want the sponge inside definitely to be holding water. And then you put it inside you put it inside the violin. It's perfect. Okay. And violin goes there. I'm actually impressed with how high quality this case is, including the straps and everything. So your violin fits very nicely in there. If you've not met her, this is Louise, the Louis Carpini violin that I'm absolutely obsessed with. So yep, still using her. She's going with me everywhere. All right, so now we get to the part where everything is in this little end pocket. I literally have everything in here. You can pull it out just by the Velcro. I'm gonna go through this because this is this whole holds everything that is important in my case. Okay. I'm just gonna go through it like in no particular order at all. I have a metronome in my case. You don't have to have a metronome in your case. Usually I'll just leave it on my music stand, but sometimes it does come in handy, especially if I'm trying to like clean up the area. I'll just put everything into here, which I evidently did because it's in there. Next is a cleaning cloth. This is so important. Like you have to have a cleaning cloth in your violin, okay? Like you have to. And a lot of times what I will see is people will put their violin away and obviously strapped in, okay? And then they'll put their cloth here and then their blanket over the top. Now, this is the worst idea you can possibly do because you've just cleaned off all the oil and the rosin from your violin, and now you're placing it back on to marinate there while your violin is packed. Like, that's awful, okay? Don't do that. You can put it over the top here if you want to. It might be marinating on your bows, which is why I put it into the side pocket, but that's what I recommend. Okay. I do have this the little C protector. If you've never seen one of these, basically what it does is it goes on the side of your violin right here, and it protects your violin as you're playing. Maybe you're a little aggressive with your bow, which I am known to be. So I have a little C protector. It just protects the varnish of your violin. I have chipped edges off the violin so many times. I have multiple violins with just the edges chipped off from my bow, and I like to play aggressively, so this is a great thing that I need. So if you find yourself doing that, or if you're renting a violin or borrowing a violin, this is a great thing just to put on there, just to add a little extra layer of protection, you know? Rosin, super duper important. I love this Kaplan rosin. It's a new one I'm trying out, and I think it is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I love a dark rosin specifically. Don't even get me started. Don't give me a light rosin, I won't use it. Pencils, always have to have pencils. I usually have a pen or a Sharpie in here as well because sometimes I use a pen on my music. Gasp. Mutes, yes, I have 4 of them. I don't know why. I love these mutes particularly. I think they're really nice on your violin. They do rattle though, so I don't recommend keeping them on your violin, but I do just put them on if I know I have a song that I will be playing with a mute. And these are orchestra mutes specifically. And I have some for my friends if anybody needs one. I got a mute. Next, I have a practice mute. Now, practice mutes are the heavy mute that actually really, really mute your violin. Woo! I will use this if my baby is sleeping or if my husband's on a meeting or whatever it is and I need to practice. I will use a practice mute, but I do not recommend using a practice mute consistently if you do not have to. And the reason is that it will mask the sound of your violin to the point where you are not 100% sure about intonation anymore or how your bow is moving properly. I have noticed so many issues by practicing too consistently with a mute. So do not, if you do not have to, practice the mute all the time. But just in case, on those rare occasions that you do need a mute. 2 final things, hair tie always. I hate playing with my hair and my face. It has to be like actually one of my biggest pet peeves. When you're trying to like read a new piece of music, you're sight reading and you're like, it's already like a lot and then your hair is in your face. And finally, a tuning fork. I love tuning with a tuning fork. Of course, I have a tuner on my phone, but I will tune with a tuning fork probably 99% of the time. It gives a nice solid A, and then you can tune your violin and make sure you're beautifully in tune. Oh my gosh. And that is everything that I have in my violin case.